Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the May 10th impasse meeting with the city administration and the fire union. You know it is Memphis in May when we are at impasse. Ms. Keplinger, would you please call the roll?
Present.
I'm here.
Here. Today we have 4 articles at impasse: Article 13, Article 30, Article 35, and Article 47. The committee shall require at least 2 members to be present to constitute a quorum for the meeting. City and employee organizations shall each be allowed a maximum of 30 minutes to present a summary of the issues and their positions. City shall make its presentation first. No time will be allotted for rebuttal. However, each side may reserve time for 1 rebuttal. The impasse committee members will be given 15 minutes to ask questions, to make comments after both parties have made their presentations. The committee chair shall recognize any committee member desiring to speak or question either party. The committee may elect to equally allocate its 15 minutes among the committee members and to allow them to utilize their allotted time in alphabetical order. Hearings shall be conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order. After hearing all sides, the committee shall conduct 1 vote to recommend the total economic package, all articles in dispute of the city or the employee organization. The impasse committee must make and submit for consideration their recommendation to the council no later than the close of business on the Tuesday preceding the second reading of the budget ordinances that include the total economic package of the electing employee organization, with the committee's recommendation as an agenda item for the next council meeting on May 18, 2021. Colleagues, any questions before we begin? Chief Smith and Director Sweat, welcome. Your 30 minutes begins now.
Excellent. Good evening, City Council members, members of the International Association of Firefighters.
We can't hear you.
Okay.
Your mic,
Okay.
no.
Sorry. Good evening, City Council members, members of the International Association of Firefighters. We are here to present the City of Memphis administration's position related to labor negotiations this year in 2021. Next slide, please. So what we like to do this evening is give an understanding, first of all, around the process for impasse. And I think it's important for all of us to be on the same page about how the process works. Also, we want to provide clarity in terms of how we've been thinking about the overall total economic package for the members of the Firefighters Association, so that you have an understanding about the comprehensive approach that we have been looking at in thinking about compensation for the members of IAFF as well as for all city employees. And then we will have opportunity for Q&A. Next slide, please. And so the process overview, this is a process that we revamped in 2017 in partnership actually with associations and city council. And with this process, we start with a kickoff meeting in February. We actually go into labor negotiations in March, going from March 1st to the 31st. And then from there, the last day, the association and the administration present their LBOs, their last best offers, which is encompassing the total economic package, which is presented in the mayor's budget. From there, after the mayor's budget is presented, the association may declare impasse, which today the International Association of Firefighters has done that. And now we are where we are today, where we're at a committee hearing to hear both sides, the administration side and the fire association side, for you to determine your recommendation for what should be placed in the final budget at the second budget hearing. Next slide, please. And so looking at roles and responsibilities and how we look at this process. So the Firefighters Association is here to advocate for their members. We estimate they have 1,462 members today. Since 2016, their members have received a 10% salary increase. The city administration, however, looks at things a little bit more broadly in terms of our total employee population, which is 8,300 employees. The average general employee salary increase has been 4.5%, and we've worked with council around that. Ultimately, the city council makes a decision as an arbiter in terms of which total economic package is actually selected and is put into the budget. Next slide, please. So Chief Ford has given an overview last week around the general fund, and I'm just capturing a few important components that she talked about in her overview of the FY22 budget. It's clear that the City of Memphis overall revenue budget reflects the lingering impact of COVID-19. And while some revenue line items have been projected with increases, there are some that are trending downward, and two particularly affect the fire division. One is around a decrease in the fire ambulance services revenue. Another one is the expiration of the MSD Safer grant. And so balancing that with also the increases that we're anticipating for the budget. So for example, we are planning for 2% salary increases, which we'll talk about more as a part of our budget presentation. But we also have made understanding and provision in the budget around part-time salaries, professional services for engineering, the group violence intervention program, as well as external phone communications as well. What we know to be true, though, is that if this body, this committee, makes a decision to approve the Fire Association's request, we will have to find an additional $1.6 million in FY22. And because they're asking for a 2-year agreement, we have to look for an additional $2.9 million in FY23 in order to fund those salary increases. And as you know, that would be a challenge considering the already tight budget that we have. Next slide, please. I do want to note once again, as we talk about the pandemic and the impact that it's had on Shelby County specifically, we know that there have been many organizations that unfortunately have had to close down or administer layoffs in order to be able to make it through the pandemic. And I'm proud to say with Mayor Strickland's leadership, we have not had to administer furloughs or layoffs for the City of Memphis, and also in partnership with the City Council. And we're very proud of that. But a good reason why we were able to do that is by our fiscal conservatism and stewardship. And that's an important thing in terms of managing the budget and making sure that we are being fiscally responsible as agents of taxpayer dollars. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the history of salary increases for the Firefighters Association, 10%, starting with the increase in January 1st, 2016, all the way to the 4% that was in July of 2019. This year, we are proposing a 2% salary increase for them as well, putting it at a total of 12%. Next slide, please. We've often get asked questions around salary and you know, what is the overall total compensation when you're talking about our city employees and particularly individuals that are represented. And so we want to give some clarity around that. So when you look at the overall base salary, which is what I think the Fire Association will really focus on, which is the current base salary of $60,872 for their members. However, that's not the total picture. When you look at all of the incentives that are offered, college incentives, longevity pay, shift pay, job incentive pay, hazardous duty pay, deferred holiday pay, et cetera, it actually totals to around $72,723. And then, of course, if you add overtime, which is not pensionable, on average, it's about $8,500 that is added in. So that is a more comprehensive view in terms of what the actual take-home pay is for individuals. We also wanted to provide, next slide, please, clarity around the benchmarking for other organizations. We know that, you know, we often get compared to neighboring cities of Bartlett, Germantown, South Haven, Shelby County government. There's a few important things to note. Well, first of all, it's not exactly apples to apples comparison. We're talking about very small organizations in comparison to the roughly 1,500 or so that would make up this body in terms of the City of Memphis Fire Department. Also, you can see with the salaries, yes, there's opportunity when you look at the different comparisons. However, when you look at the total compensation, around $72,723, you'll see that we are extremely competitive in comparison to these other organizations. Next slide, please. I also want to talk a little bit about healthcare because, healthcare is expensive. And I think it's important for everyone to know that the city pays around $11,568 per member of the IAFF, as well as for other city employees to be a part of our health insurance plan, and that 70% premium that on average that we have as a cost share. And so that is significant in terms of the additional compensation that we're being able to offer from a total rewards package perspective for the membership. Next slide, please. And so from our standpoint, as we go to and look at the overall position of IAFF, they're asking for 3% raises for 2 years in a row, which will cost an extra $4.5 million with no clear funding source. And essentially, they want to maintain the status quo with no additional vacation for their members, whereas the city is adding 3 more vacation days for their members. And to clearly express the math, you see here in terms of the request that they're making for FY21 and FY22, totaling $5.8 million. Next slide, please. And what the city is offering, and I will pass it to Director Sweat.
Good evening. So the city's position is, and as I presented in my budget earlier today, is a 2% raise for all fire employees, commission fire dispatchers, paramedics. In addition, will be 3 vacation days. And so that was already built into the budget that I presented earlier. And the city is proposing a 1-year agreement with the associations. The city is requesting to remove the current bonus day program and replaced it with these 3 vacation days. And the justification is that on average, city employees receive 2.5 bonus days a year. And the fire division is a little different. They can actually sell theirs. And so fire employees average selling 2.5 bonus days a year instead of actually earning the 4. So the 3 vacation days would be a little more than they sell on average. So they would bid those vacations the same way they normally do. And they would get those vacations could start as early as the first of the year. So at the end of the day, they can sell 75 days when they retire, so nothing would change there. They would still be able to sell those 75 days when they retired. That would be sick or any leave time that they have on the books. Next slide.
So to recap the total, the Fire Association is going to share with you, their perspective. At the end of the day, we have a very tight budget, and the city has worked very hard with the council to be good financial stewards of the taxpayer dollars. If you were to find in favor of the Fire Association, it would be an additional $1.6 million in FY22, an additional $2.9 million in FY23 in order to cover those raises. And that concludes the city's presentation.
Thank you, Chief Smith. You have 18 minutes and 8 seconds for 1 rebuttal. Mr. Malone, Mr. Norman, welcome. You ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. We certainly didn't start out in March looking to be here at Impasse with the revenue flow that has occurred and going to occur for this year. was just a fire drill. So as the city's so elegantly produced the fact of how the system worked, there was not a lot of back and forth in negotiation. And I want real quickly before I get into it, they're talking about how much money it's going to cost. And they conveniently brought up from 2016. So let's go back to 2010. It's the first page in your packet. That's 12 years. And if you'll notice on those 12 years, there was 8 zeros. So 8 out of 12 years, the firefighters got a 0. One of those years was a 4.6% reduction in pay. That was produced back 2 years later. So why it looks very attractive of what the city has said as far as what we have received since 2016, if you look at 2016, starting on our first page, that was a council impasse. One of those 1% was for 1 month. Then you looked at, and 2017 was a 1%. That was given by the council. 2018 was a 0. 2019, the administration offered 3%. This council increased it 1%. In 2020, it was a 0, and now 2021, they're offering a 2%. So if you turn to the next page, and you look, as Chief Smith directed, they compared these other fire departments and all that. So rather than really going too extreme, because we could have brought in Kansas City, we could have brought in Indianapolis, all these people that are our size, our kind of same number of people in the city, but we only brought the surrounding areas: Memphis, Colleyville, Germantown, Arlington, Shelby County, and Bartlett. And the reason for that, that's who's getting the majority of our people. We're bringing them in here and we're training them, and within about 4 years, this is where they're headed. And the reason they're headed, you can see on your paper. They can leave and go to Germantown and make $8,000 a year more. We found out after conversation today that Germantown is putting their fire and police back into the defined benefit plan with a 2.75 multiplier. Now, I heard Chief Smith say that, well, some of these small cities, they can do that because they have small numbers. So let's take Germantown. They got 30,000 people. They're beating us in salary. We got 650,000 people. So to say that a small city can do better than a large city is actually something that's not really been happening around here. You got Shelby County, you got Colleyville, and Germantown. Now, if you look on the fire recruit side, for us to hire, we're the lowest starting pay in the city, including Bartlett and Arlington. Then this moves on down, and then you can see where in Shelby County side over here, they got their salary plus our paramedic gets an extra 5% out of that. So what we're looking at is recruiting and retention. The surrounding departments are hiring our well-trained personnel. Higher salaries, 10% of the workload by the virtue of what their chiefs say. Then you look at our people doing that. They don't have to move. They don't have to change schools. They don't have to change addresses. All they have to do is change shirts. So let's look at the workload that we're talking about. Then COVID. It was tremendous workload. Fire department did a heck of a job. Then all of a sudden the county was failing with their vaccination. Who took it over? Not Shelby County Fire Department, not Germantown Fire Department, but Memphis Fire Department. Again, our people stepping up, doing the job. That's why we think they need an increase in salary. So when you look at this, the run volume and the physical and mental stress on these people is tremendous. So if you look at the next page, and you go back to 2011, we had 34 people resign. Now, there's multiple reasons for them resigning. I will admit that up front. But the majority of these people are resigning to go to other fire departments that we've been tracking. Then it dropped down the next year in 2012 to 20 left. If you'll notice, that was right about the 4.6 per time that we got the 4.6 restored back. Then you go to 2013, and there's 43 that left. 2014, then you got 44. And as you move on down, let's get to 2016, skip over to 2016, that the chief was talking about the raise. In 2016, 57 left. In 2017, 46 left. All while these raises were coming, this 10% stuff. In 2018, 81 people left. 2019, 75 people left. In 2020, 52 people left. All the time where the city's saying they're treating their fire departments on an equal footing. And then in 2021, that figure shows as of March 15th, and we know that's increased already 2021. We do know that Germantown's getting ready to hire, the county's getting ready to hire, their county's getting ready to hire 23, and I understand we got 40 applications from our people out there. So it's obvious that it's not working what we're doing. So let's get to the city's offer and our offer on our last page. So the city's final offer, Article 13, was if you're off sick and you go to the doctor, when you're out of the house from the time you leave the doctor, if it's 3 hours or longer, you have to get a doctor's note to return to work. That's the only difference that we had in that article. I talked to 3 different doctors, just happened to be going for my knee, and no doctor's going to give you a note because you were in their office for 3 hours or 3.5 hours. So we skip down to Article 30, the 3 vacation days that the chief was talking about. We're going to really give them 3 vacation days. Well, let's look at the article itself. The 3 vacation days is in lieu of taking 3 bonus days. Now, you heard the director say that we're different on the bonus days. If you look at the sheet that I presented on their offer, it said if we accept this offer, all of the bonus days are removed from the MOU. Well, we've got people, as the director said, we can keep our bonus days unlike anybody else. And we got some people's got 8 and 10 bonus days on the books. So they would swap 3 bonus days for 3 vacation days. And we asked in negotiation, what about the rest of them? They would be gone. So the ones that got 10 days, that's 7 days that they've taken away from our employees who came to work and earned them. Let me go on record by saying, we don't care if anybody gets bonus days if they don't work and earn them. To give somebody something is not in our repertoire. That was the city. When they said, we want to change this, I said, at negotiations, if our people don't earn them, we don't care if they get them. But these 3 vacation days that they were so proud of giving everybody, in our article, unlike anybody else in the city, you must sell those 3 days. You can't add them to your vacation period. You have to sell them. It's in there that you have to sell them. And then they came down and said effective 2% raise with a 1-year agreement. As you can see, our people want something they can look at. So we're looking at a 3-year wage increase, but the 3rd year is a reopener. We're looking at a 3 and a reopener the 3rd year for a 3-year agreement. We believe that our people need a tangible item to look at so they can see exactly what they're going to have next year. So if they think about quitting, then they got something to look at. So when we talk about the fire department with no layoffs, obviously not. When we got tons of CARES money, we got other money coming in from the federal government this year, a little over $84 million, a little over $84 million next year. So when we look at all this, the city talks about paying for pension and health care. The pension system was started in 1948, and I was not here. But let's go to 1969 when I did appear. We had pension, we had health insurance, and we got a raise every year. We didn't miss any until the latter part of 1 year of Mayor Harrington's thing. And then since then, it's been almost every year the firefighters hadn't gotten a raise. So the key here for us is we want to retain our people. This is not the military. This is not a fraternity. This is not a social club. This is a career. Our people here work hard. They're known as some of the best in the country. I travel the country with our international. Nobody can believe the workload they have here in Memphis. They can't believe the number of fires we make in a day. They can't believe the number of murders and shootings and stabbings that they make in a day. That's taking its toll on our people. So we're here today to ask you to consider the firefighters' issue. This is not about not having money. We've got more money coming this year and next year than we've had in a long time. There are ways to pay this raise. As the chief said, this is a little over $1 billion difference in what they're offering. But along with what they're offering is to take bonus days away from our people, give them 3 vacation days with smoke and mirrors, and then they got to sell them. They can't take off. And then if you can't go to the doctor, if you're gone for 3 hours, it took me 4 hours and 10 minutes to get my knees up, x-rayed and drained and shot back up. 4 hours and 10 minutes. I asked the doctor, I said, if I asked you for a doctor's note to go back to work, what would you tell me? I said, get out of here. What we do here is our business. So that was totally, totally unacceptable to think that our people can't go back to work without a doctor's note if they've been out of the house for 3 hours to go to see the doctor. This is not high school, ladies and gentlemen. This is a career. So I'm asking that this body take a hard look. 1.6 million, the chief said, that's a little over a penny. We gave pre-K a penny one night here in the council chambers without any research, without anything done. And it's still sitting there on going into the pre-K. We're asking you to give 1,400 some people $1 million. That's all this year. Next year, we think that that's a retention worth having. When you go into next year and they look and see that there's a 3% raise waiting, and then the third year we can say, hey, we got 2-3%. Why don't you wait and give us a shot? That's real life retention there. That's not a smoke and mirror of 3 vacation days that you can't take. Our people need the time off. We were the only unit in the city that had to sell our vacation days. Only one. We were the only unit in the city that they said if you're out of the house for 3 hours, you got to bring a doctor's note. So we don't understand when our people are stepping up to the plate and doing the job they're doing, why they're being treated like that. So I'm sorry to have to come before this committee again. It seems like it's repetitious, but I'm asking this committee to support the firefighters' total economic package and show the firefighters that you care instead of just talking about it. Show them that you care about them and give them what they deserve. And I'll reserve the rest of my time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. You have 17 minutes, 10 seconds left for rebuttal. Councilman Smiley.
I just need someone to answer on the record. I cannot vote individually for each article. I have to vote for the entire economic package.
That is correct.
Okay.
Chief Smith, you have 18 minutes and 8 seconds.
Yes, I just want to clarify a few very important points. So Mr. Malone and I had a text message exchange this weekend, and, you know, I reiterated to him that the proposal that we, from a city administration perspective, have put forth has to do with medical documentation after 3 days, not 3 hours. So I have, my understanding is he's referring to something particularly with the fire division's departmental policy, but that is not the overall city policy that we brought forward as a part of the labor negotiations. It's 3 days, not 3 hours. Secondly, as he talked about the
looking at, I guess,
it should be 3 days. That was what the city brought forward. The second piece here is when he presented in his presentation related to 8 years of 0%, that wasn't just the Firefighters Association. All city employees suffered some tremendous challenges over the last 8 years. And that was previous to this council and previous to this administration. It has to do with the financial condition of the city of Memphis. And so it's not isolated, related to just the Firefighters Association. I also want to make note, as we talk about the attrition rate, there are a few important components there. So one is that when you talk about 51 resignations out of 1,500 people, we're talking about a resignation rate of 3.4%. If you go into the private sector, on average, you're looking at an attrition rate of between 7 and 8% for most organizations. If you look at call center environments, it's even higher than that. So a 3.4% resignation rate is extremely, extremely low in comparison to other industries and other organizations. As we look at comparing other cities, once again, I mentioned that this is not a true apples to apples comparison, because just in looking at the salary by itself doesn't tell you the overall total rewards package. So for example, our deductible still continues to be lower than other organizations, particularly look at Shelby County. The fact that we offer 2 free wellness clinics, and many of these organizations cannot afford to even have a wellness clinic such as we have. The fact that we offer wellness incentives, they don't offer that as a part of their package as well. So it's not fair to just compare the one component around the salary when it's an overall total economic package that is truly there and total rewards package that is presented for individuals. The last component that I think is really critical, I just want to reiterate, is that once again, the city is looking at the overall total. We look at all 8,300 employees. We look at the overall financial consideration for an entire organization, not just a selected group. And so in looking at the total, once again, we have to be considerate and think about the overall financial implications of making this change. It's not just $1 million. That's $1 million that could go to a community center. That's $1 million that could go to some of the projects and programs that you, as the council, would like to invest in. That is $1 million that can go to a number of different things. So it's not just $1 million. That concludes the city's rebuttal.
Thank you, Chief Smith. Mr. Malone, you have 17 minutes, 10 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, let me say that it's really a slap in the face to be compared, our members asking for $1 million to a community center. That's really about as low as it gets for me. But let me say this, Councilman Smiley, on the 3 hours versus 3 days, number one, Chief Smith wasn't at the table, I was. It's a matter of record on tape, plus I have an email, Mr. Malone, that is on Sunday, March the 28th at 1:55 p.m. Please find the city's proposal for Article 13. Open this thing up, and it says, however, employees on sick leave status must provide documentation from his or her healthcare provider or any treatment that exceeds 3 hours. That's exact words that you have on yours. It's the exact words that came out of this. This came from their chief negotiator on Sunday, March the 28th. I don't know what Chief Smith's talking about. We did have the text back and forth. I never understood what she had because she said 3 days. If it had been 3 days, we'd have taken it because you got to bring in a doctor's note now after 2 days. Why would we turn down 3 days? So when we talk about the attrition rate, that whatever rate she said is not a very bad number, I can tell you that I've been with this city since 1969. And up until this stuff started with former Mayor Wharton's administration, there was never anybody leave this job unless they got terminated. This was a career for people. That's why you see what's called the drop plan, because it stops people from leaving without the city being prepared for them leaving. They know when they're on the drop plan for 3 years that they're going to leave. That's the attrition rate that we built in years ago. So when we look at this wellness clinic that they bring up every year, it seems like that should get old, because if you go out on the recruiting trail and say, we got 2 clinics here you can use if you get sick, I don't think that's going to attract any firefighters. So I'm a little perplexed at the guidelines that they lay here. But in the fire service, the turnover rate compared to the private sector is not a have gun will travel until this started. People are getting their certifications now. They're getting their qualifications. They're becoming paramedics, and they can go anywhere in the country simply because the training that Memphis has here, the workload that they have, they learn. We had a guy that came in, one of the laterals, and he said, man, where I was from, we did 12 certain medical things in a month. I said, pal, we do that on multiple companies in a day. So, you know, if you want to say no, you can find all the reasons in the world to say no. You can build up a good package to say no. It's hard to say yes, but I don't understand when it's the #1 service in the city. Everybody, when they go out of town, talks about we got the best fire department in the country. What do you pay the best? What do you pay what these men and women do? You certainly don't play second fiddle to these surrounding areas. We used to be hiring all of their people. They couldn't wait to get on the Memphis Fire Department. Now, out of the 5 top cities in this area, we're #4 in pay. That's our facts. Those are facts. This is not talking about some we got a wellness clinic or we got our attrition rate's not that bad. You know the way we look at it? If we lose 4, 5, or 6, that's too many. That means we hired the wrong person. That means we had somebody that should be making a career out of this. And I understand that there's a lot of other employees that have to have things. But apparently everybody else was satisfied because nobody's here but the firefighters. We're the only ones asking for help. We're the only ones here sticking out saying, we've got 2 articles other than salary in here that's hurting the firefighters. They didn't give these people any vacation days. That's simply untrue. They took 3 bonus days in lieu of and gave vacation days. It was a swap off. But then if anybody, I asked the guy the other day, how many bonus days you got? 10. Now you can ask the director sitting over there, 10 bonus days mean you've got a good employee who comes to work on a regular basis and earns the bonus days. According to the city's offer, he would lose 7 bonus days for being a good employee. That's totally unacceptable. That's money that he could put in his pocket somewhere down the road. So they didn't give the firefighters anything. They want to take 3 bonus days and swap them for vacation days. And as far as giving them, we don't care if they give them anything. If they don't earn the bonus days, they shouldn't get them to start with, in our opinion. So I'm asking for your help, ladies and gentlemen of this committee. The firefighters did not get treated fairly in this round of negotiations. This is the year that they can do things for the firefighters. We got money coming in. We've had CARES money coming in. We've got all this money coming in. We're not asking to break the bank. We're asking for a simple 3%. That's not much over cost of living. So I'm asking for your vote tonight to support the firefighters' total economic package. Just like Councilman Smiley said, it's either one package or another. If you vote against the firefighters, that means you're helping them take their bonus days away from them that they've earned. That means you're making them sell 3 vacation days that they've already earned another day for. So I'm asking to support your firefighters. They're your firefighters, just like ours. And they do a heck of a job. It just seems like they never, to compare them to a community center is, I've had a lot of things come my way, but that might be the first that we compared. They'd rather pay $1 million to a community center than give firefighters a raise. So I'm asking for your support tonight, and I appreciate your attention, and thank you for your looking into this and seeing if you can help the firefighters.
Thank you, Mr. Malone. All right, colleagues, what we're going to do is we're going to have questions for 15 minutes. I'll let Councilwoman Johnson and Councilman Smiley go first. I'll conclude, and then any comments that you want to make, again, I'll conclude with the comments, and then I'll entertain a motion in favor of the city's package or of the fire union's package. Colleagues, questions? Councilman Smiley, I know you have questions. Go ahead, sir.
So during the presentation, because I knew Chairman Canale wasn't going to let me ask questions in the middle of the presentation, I had Meredith ask a question in the middle of the presentation. Thank you. Shout out to Meredith. Thank you for being here. I wanted to see what the history of the increases look like because of as it stands in 2016, the average general employee receives about a 4.5 increase. The firefighters received about a 10% increase according to this, but I wanted to take it back to 2010 so I can see what the increases were. So hopefully you have those numbers. I do. Thank you kindly. Could you share them with me? Yes. And all of my terrible notes that I'm taking. And I emailed it to you as well. So in 2010, there was no represented employee or general increase that was given. In 2011, there was no increase given.
in the middle of 2011, there was a reduction in base pay for all general employees of 4.62%, equivalent to 10 holidays. And then there was no increase in 2012, and then there was a restoration of that of 4.62% for all employees. And then there was no increase in 2014, no increase in 2015, and then in 2016, that's where you start to see the differentiation between commission, fire, and other employees.
Okay, so the average increase for fire over that period from 2010 to now is what? I'm seeing these.
Essentially, there was no increase for any employees from 2010. So that when you think about all 6,500 full-time employees that we have at the City of Memphis, there was no increase between 2010 and 2016.
So it stays. So both of them will go down. So that still doesn't give me the numbers that I want to see, but it kind of tells me that both the numbers will probably decrease.
They were the same, essentially. That there was no differentiation between the Firefighters Association members and other city employees with respect to salary increases between 2010 until the end of 2015.
Okay. Let's move on from there. We'll go back to the. All right, that's that one. And I guess this is for the city administration. Mr. Malone stated that right now, in terms of pay, the city of Memphis is number 4. Is that about accurate? In terms of the local jurisdictions, which is Memphis, Carterville, Germantown, Alden, Shelby County, and Bartlett. Not sure. Is that accurate? Is that an accurate statement?
I'm sorry.
In terms of pay, the city of Memphis firefighters are 4 in terms of pay.
I'm not sure exactly where he got that from. On slide 12 in our presentation, we list out where the salaries are by job title and in comparison. So you can see that depending on which job title, so for example, for fire driver, we would be number 3 there, number 4 there. But for other positions, for example, with fire lieutenant, we would be a little bit higher. Firefighter paramedic, we would be a little bit lower. So it depends on the position that you're referring to.
Okay, so it varies depending on the position. We vary from 4 to about 3. What about
depending
3?
Depending on
3 and 4, we go between 3 and 4. Okay, depending on the position. All right, so I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. I think this is Chief. Hey, Chief Ford. You know I'm gonna ask you a question. The funds that we're receiving, the COVID-19 funds, could we use this in any type of way to pay for any of these salaries for firefighters? I was looking for you, so happy you're here.
Financial officer. Unfortunately, the ARPA funds, they do their prevention plan, cannot be used for recurring expenditures. They cannot be used.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, because I might have a list of horribly sketched questions.
I'm old out of what you said. But on the recovery money, there's the actual rules that I went over and looked at today, and they just came out with a new set of guidelines today from the Treasury Department. But the rules I looked at is you can free up money with that money and use it for whatever you want to.
Report.
You can, as we discussed during my overview, you can revenue replace. So that is an available use. We use $18 million of revenue replacement to balance FY22. Without that revenue placement, at the budget, 18 million.
So we can, so essentially what Mr. Malone is saying is about accurate.
So you can revenue replace,
Mm-hmm.
you can bring money in.
So basically moving things around.
Right, but so you have to do that in comparison to our last full pre-pandemic specific to certain revenue items. So once you bring it into the general fund, it is revenue. That $18 million balance the budget.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Malone stated that I just need clarity. I don't care who gives me the clarity about, what happens to these vacation days. I think Mr. Malone said something along the lines of, if I was working as a firefighter now, I've had 10 bonus days. I'm not even sure if I'm using the wrong terminology. Correct me. I have 10 bonus days. And what this package does is it would take 7 of my days and I would automatically go down to 3 or something like that. I just need clarity on the vacation package. Y'all lost me with that.
Oh, okay, so I'll let Director Sweat. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Tommy is correct, Mr. Malone is correct. There are some employees that may have more than the allotted.
Do we know how many, or is
I can get that number for you. I don't know today. Is
it a large number?
I would not say that it's a large number. It should not be.
But potentially, we talking about people or folks who have, I would say earn, because they're on the job, earn these days, and then based on this, they could potentially lose out on those days. Is there any, all I can do is accept it. So never mind, accept it or decline it.
But I do want to clarify a point that those days have an expiration on them. So typically those days would expire within a 12-month.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Well, for all city employees, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the fire division is a little bit different because of the sale back program.
Yeah, ours are a little different because we have the minimum staffing that we talked about earlier.
Pull me back if I go outside the scope.
If a firefighter requests to take a bonus day off, and we can't allow them to take that day off because of staffing issues, then they can keep it on the book.
So I told Chairman Canali to just pull me back when I go outside the scope. I think I may. So I think I may. Did we give the employees an opportunity to sell it back before we presented this, or no? I'm just so okay.
Yeah,
we did.
But they can sell for a year.
They can sell full year. So if you had
10, you could sell 4 now, and then that would take you down to 6.
Okay, I'm gonna defer to Councilwoman Johnson. I'm gonna gather my thoughts and look at the remaining questions and go ahead.
Before you do that, could I just read something?
Go ahead.
It says, but must sell back to the city 3 vacation days. But that's not an option, that's a must.
Councilwoman Johnson.
There's no option.
Colleagues, just note that we have 5 minutes, 25 seconds left.
Oh,
I'll give the remaining time to both of you, but just know, 5 minutes. Well, we're equal opportunity.
my apologies.
I do want to clarify in the document, it says 56 shift employees may sail back to the city up to 5 vacation days.
Like y'all reading from 2 different players. He said,
but
May, you said 3 days, 3 hours.
But
That's true. That part's true.
May or must?
It actually has both. So 56-hour shift employees may sail back to the city up to 5 vacation days, 24 hours per day, but must sail back to the city 3 vacation days. And 8-hour shift employees may sail back to the city up to 5 vacation days, 8 hours per day. 12-hour shift employees may sail back to the city up to 5 vacation days, but must sail back to the city 3 vacation days. So depending on the hour shift of the individual, that is how it is structured.
Okay.
Councilwoman Johnson, go ahead.
Thank you. let's get back to earned days. How do you earn them? By not calling in sick or taking, can you take a vacation day and still earn it?
So, yeah, so we have our normal vacation accrual, which is listed, but in addition with the bonus day program, if you did not take sick leave for 90 days, then you would be able to earn a sick day. Okay. I'm sorry, a bonus day. The challenge with that, as you can imagine, especially being in a pandemic, is that essentially rewarding individuals for not taking sick leave could be problematic if they really needed to take sick leave. And so there's one of the reasons why the city wanted to move into creating more of a vacation-focused program so that people would be able to equitably receive their vacation days.
If it's a line of duty injury, it doesn't count against you. As the COVID was in many cases, it did not stop your accrual. It's only if you take off at just a regular sick.
Okay. But I can see that being confusing. Will people actually lose days if this is agreed upon?
So the intention behind the
program. That's a yes, no answer. Come on. Will they lose days?
So we have not, I can't fully answer that because we didn't get an opportunity to talk about the mechanics of the program with the Firefighters Association. They didn't want to go through the discussion with us about it.
Okay. Let me ask another question.
But but once again, for example, there is an example where all the current bonus days that someone has on the books, we could create opportunity for them to sell those and then start the new program. That would be a way that we could implement it.
Okay. Now my other concern is this 1 year versus 3 years. I mean, you're asking for 3 and 1 over here. The rest of the world is at 1 at a time. And y'all want 3. Explain why.
The 3 years the 3 years was something on the table. We felt like talking to our employees. If you look at since 2016, the number of people that have left, and look at the zeros that they've had to encounter. So if you look at that, that's what people are looking at. They're looking at what I'm going to make down the road, how I'm going to be treated down the road. And so that's what we thought, well, with a 3-year contract, we had 2 years we knew of money coming in, $84-point-something million of fresh new money that has nothing to do with the general fund. They can use it with different tweaks, you know. So when we look at it, if you look at our last contract that we had, the city proposed a 4-year contract, but it just had all zeros in it. It was a reopener every year. So when we wanted a 3-year contract, if you notice, we only took the years that we knew money was coming in. Money coming in this year, money coming in next year. The 3rd year, we would go back to the table and negotiate with the city on salaries only. We don't want to sit and go through negotiation after negotiation each year when there's nothing happening, and it looks like they're trying to take things from the firefighters. A 3-year, and there were several of the other units that had a 3-year on the table that they pulled off.
Okay. All I can say, this particular situation I find myself in is somewhat confusing and complicated. I can't see, I don't support every item, personally. There's some things I definitely don't understand, that bonus and vacation concept and how that's working out. But I can't go along with the 3-year program either, because that's life. I mean, we're in a governmental setting. Everybody who works has to figure out, will I have a job tomorrow? I understand the importance of the firefighters. You know, I think they do a fabulous job, fantastic. But if you had to ask me to pick which particular agency in the city of Memphis was the best, I couldn't pick one. That's an impossible task for me. I think we're all team players, and we all have to realize our importance and what we have to do. And we come to the front line as needed, and we don't just necessarily bring one forth and push someone else back. It depends on each person's individual needs. So I'm caught in a dilemma when you're telling me I have to vote and approve all four. I don't even know, can I abstain in this situation? Oh, okay.
You may not.
So let me ask you a clarifying question. You read it as a 3-year contract. I'm reading it as a 2-year contract. With the 3rd year, they're going to negotiate again.
Yeah.
Well, no one else has a 2-year contract. I'm sorry,
I mean, does it? I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know.
That's exactly what it means.
But it was still.
Anyone else have the option, or has anyone? Okay, this is the question. Has any other division in the city have a contract longer than 1 year?
No. So we're only at impasse with the Firefighters Association. All other 6 associations have accepted our 1-year term.
So prior to that, because I think Mr. Malone stated that the city did offer at some point a contract that exceeded 1 year. Is that true?
We did in 2017 when we entered negotiations again. We did offer a longer agreement.
So it's not necessarily this is not new. This is not a new type of new thing in which what the union is requesting.
It's new for this year though, because
but it's something that's been offered before by one party.
we have done multi-year agreements in the
So
past.
it's not the only multi-year agreement we've ever seen before.
In the whole history of the city of Memphis.
I'm talking about.
In previous administrations, yes.
At least in my adult life.
Yes.
Would you say that multi-year offer was made during a time where the term limit of the current elected officials had 4 years to work it out? See, I can't see myself setting for guidelines for a new administration.
It won't be.
It won't be, because
You'll still be under the Strickland administration.
it's a 2-year, so it's a 2-year contract, and the last year of the contract, they're gonna go negotiate again.
Why we gotta put that in anyway? You know, it's confusing to me, not understanding everything, because it must be why you even include it. There has to be a reason for that.
That's a great question. I'm with you.
That's one, if I may, you were asking about the bonus days. If you look on that document that I gave you on the last page, there's an asterisk down there and it says, delete all references to bonus days in agreement. What that means is anybody's got any bonus days over 3, they're gone. That was explained. Now, the chief said we didn't want to explain that at the table. We sat for many hours going over these things. We knew exactly what they were saying. They said, I asked, what about the ones that's got more than 3? They lose them. Number 2, on this contract, this administration right here proposed a long-term contract. The only difference in them and us is they proposed all zeros, so we had to go back every year to negotiate salary every year. That was it. The contract was in place, except we had to go to negotiate every year of this administration's term. We'd gone back and negotiated salary, and that was it for the contract. So we had a multi-year contract on everything but salary.
Any more questions, colleagues?
Can I make a clarifying point?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to clarify so that in the previous agreements, when we had a 4-year agreement, we had a wage opener every year. But this year is very unique due to all of the things related to the pandemic, and we have asked for a 1-year agreement to give the opportunity for us to come back and have a further detailed conversation with each association next year. 6 out of the 7 associations have accepted and agreed with us about a 1-year agreement, except for the Firefighters Association.
Thank you, Chief Smith. Callie?
For clarification, are you saying that the items of like the vacation days and all that can be talked about again in 1 year?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
The whole contract would be done again in another year under their proposal. Under ours, the discussion ended. That was it.
You done?
Yeah. I finished, you done.
Any more comments? All right, colleagues. Yes, ma'am.
Can we make another clarification?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so my understanding of the bonus days, they were told if they had more than the 3, that they could keep those on the books. And that's part, if you recall, the 75 days that I said that they can sell at retirement, those would be kept on the books and they would be able to sell those at retirement.
Is that in this language?
I think that was discussed at the table.
I have one last question.
I'd like to clarify that, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Malone.
That was not discussed at the table in any shape, form, or fashion. What was discussed, and we got a tape if anybody wants to hear it. What was discussed was that if you've got any bonus days, and it says in here, all the days are deleted out of your MOU. If it's not an MOU, it's not going to happen. It's plain and simple. When I used the term 10 days, I didn't just pull this out of the air. We went out and searched these people. And 10 days, and I said, you'd have 7 left if they did this. And our people went crazy. These are the quality people we have coming to work. These are the people that that really do the job. This is something that the director and all of her staff, they push. People come to work. But yet these people earn these, and this city now wants to say, well, you earned them, but we don't like it because the other 6 units were okay with their contract, but the firefighters wasn't. Is that supposed to hold us back from something? These other people didn't have what we had.
One quick question.
Okay.
When will the actions of this body actually take place?
We'll vote on it on May 18th.
Okay, but I mean, actually, when will...
We're going to give a recommendation to full council tonight.
Okay, but will it go place by July 1st? I mean, what is the effective date?
Yes.
Okay, so if anybody has additional days, they can use them all up by July 1st?
No.
Why
Staffing
not?
levels, they can't do that. I believe, Director Sweat, you can answer that question.
No, if we do not have extra personnel, so if they requested a bonus day, unless it was an emergency bonus day, it would probably be declined. However, if they haven't sold 4 this year, they could sell them. So they can sell
them all before July 1st.
No.
They're allowed to sell up to 4 a year.
But I would leave them. I sure wish I knew how many people were being affected by it.
Me too.
It's a pretty good number.
I can't get that information tonight, but I could probably get it to you tomorrow.
Councilwoman Johnson, when we were at the table, neither one of these people were at the table. When we were at the table, I asked a question. If we want to do this and we bite off on this, the people that have extra days, are y'all going to let them sell them? They said no. They lose them. Plain, that's what's on the tape. They lose them. And then in the language right here, it says all notification of all reference to bonus days will be deleted. So that means you don't have any when you take the 3 vacation days. We didn't look at 3 vacation days and say no. Vacation days are what our people needed. This was a take from the firefighters, not a gift.
Colleagues, any more questions? Comments? I'll conclude with some comments. Colleagues, this is what I know to be true. Our firefighters and paramedics have been on the front line for the last 13 months, 14 months during COVID. Our firefighters and paramedics make more calls than most other municipal fire departments in the United States. This fire department received a Class 1 fire rating, which less than 1% of fire departments receive in the United States. These firefighters and these paramedics helped Director Sweat achieve that rating. Public safety is one of my top priorities. I believe we have to commit to our policemen and our firemen because they take care of the well-being of our city. And with that, I'll entertain a motion on behalf of the city's package, the administration's package, or the fire union's package.
I move that we accept the union's final offer.
Can I get a second? I'll second that. Ms. Keplinger, would you please call a vote? A yes vote is in favor of the union's package. A no vote is in favor of the administration's package.
Who's been fined $1.6 million?
Yes. Opinion of the chair that we voted in favor of the fire union. Any other comments? Thank you for your time this evening. We're now adjourned.